Happy Thursday. If you're not watching on Thursday, that's fine too. But this is the part of the series where I do stuff on Thursday, man. My thoughts on Thursday. It's just a little editorial, just a little talking head. It kind of works like a podcast. So if my voice annoys you, please go away. Anyways, we're going to be talking about the Overwatch the competitive season, the first season. We're not going to be talking about the pre-season before competitive was actually enabled. We're going to be talking about not just the first, year of Overwatch. We're specifically talking about the competitive season of Overwatch and the balances and, stuff like that, and the rewards. We're not going to be talking about all cosmetics, but, specifically the competitive rewards and the competitive performance of the game and how that bled into the casual play of the game. But we're specifically talking about the first season, competitive season of Overwatch, okay? Is that going through your thick skulls? All right, well, let's do that. This is going to be my thoughts and opinions on Overwatch's first competitive season. Okay, that's the topic of today. Anyway, so Overwatch, having fun with it. It's a pretty good game. Anyways, so my max rank that I got to is rank 64. And I actually got that pretty much instantaneously. I got that like the first week of competitive being announced, or like, the second week maybe. I wasn't really enthralled with competitive the first week, I believe because there was like this really disbalance. Like everybody was playing, I think, 2 Tracers, 2 Winstons, 2 Lucios. It was just extremely unfun. I think McCree was, at the time, also, even in quickly, just completely unbalanced. And overall, the game was completely unbalanced. So I didn't want to just jump right into competitive. I waited for a couple of balance tweaks, a little bit with McCree, some other characters, and throughout this whole, competitive season, more changes have occurred than any other time in Overwatch's history, except for maybe before it was even playable to the public, right? So I did play in the alpha, the betas. I got to play this game from start to finish. And yes, this first competitive season was an eye-opener, I think, for the developers, which honestly, a lot of competitive players really saw it coming, but, it's, when you're making your own game, I guess you get a little bit blind to the love, to the child that you're making. You kind of don't realize what it's turning into. So, yeah, the community had to step in and be like, hold on now. McCree is kind of intense, a couple other characters are intense. So yeah, a lot of balance tweaks. And that has happened in sort of like these stages. So the first stage was a couple of damage dealers, was kind of intense, had to tone it down. Now, we have some characters that are very prevalent, like Lucio, but Lucio is always going to be prevalent just because of how his kit is. It's really easy to play him. It's hard to master, but, just a base level, just to play him, just to succeed, it's pretty easy. So I think they acknowledge that, they understand that. Just like Bastion, in the situations where you are going to use Bastion, he's really strong, and a lot of new players don't like it, but they're not going to continue to nerf Bastion just because he's overpowering in that one very specific niche that he is. So the balance tweaks were for characters that, the first stage was for characters that were just kind of too good all the time. And one problem that they had very recently, which was like one of the more recent changes, was that some characters were not only good all the time, like Lucio, but they could also be stacked. And so what you would see is 2 Lucios, 2 Winstons, sometimes it's switched to, I don't know, maybe Zarya for a match, depending on the map. And you just see too much stacking. And the counter to stacking is to stack the opposite heroes, stuff like that. It was just super freaking annoying. Really unfun to watch, to play. So actually, I know the game, when it was first announced, it was supposed to be that you could pick any character at any time, switch on and off, and stack them if you want to. That's part of the strategy. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Me, personally, I totally saw this coming. I think a lot of competitive players really saw how annoying it could be. Right now, it's just not competitively viable. Maybe if they actually made kits with that in mind, which you would think they would, because from the start, I'm not gonna rag on the dev team or the balance team or whatever. I'm not gonna do that. All I'm gonna say is that where it's heading now is good. Okay, the kits are still fun. They're basically the same. No giant changes have happened. But the one giant change that did happen was to the hero select. You can only pick one of any hero. Okay, no more stacking for competitive. Now, you can still do that in quick play. You can still have fun. You can, it's all silly. It's quick play, right? But for competitive, that was the big change. And of course, there's other balance tweaks, but that's going to be the main one that I want to talk about. And that's when I really started to get into competitive. Watching it, at least. Playing it, no, not so much right now. I'm going to sit at 64. We're going to let the first season slide by. But then second season, I'm probably going to go way more hardcore. We're going to get really into the game. Probably gonna aim for the 70s or higher, you know, wherever the pro players are at, you know, that's probably where I'll aim. But I really just kind of wanted to play with my friends. You know, like I play with Icy and Ashley. I got Mr. Flippers. I don't know if you guys see me play with those guys. I play with a couple of friends. We do some videos together, just very lightly with Overwatch, but we play, we have fun. And if you get, hey, subscribers, if you want to play with me, add me on Steam and stuff. You know, Skylant Shore, everything basically. Skylant on, oh yeah, I think you might need my number on Overwatch, but whatever. You know, just PM me or something, DM me, and we'll see if we can play. But yeah, I like to just kind of play. It's a fun game to play. I know it's a competitive game, but I like to play it for fun. So I didn't really enjoy the competitive season because of all the balance changes. I mean, drastic balance changes. I mean, completely nerfing people into the ground. You never see them again. The whole stacking situation, changing that. It was just a mess. And then how they work with sudden death. I still don't know if I feel good with the sudden death system that they put in. They were just messing. Honestly, I wouldn't say they were just changing or tuning. They were just straight up experimenting this first season. So this first season really is like the season that doesn't even count. It's basically beta. Honestly, guys, in my opinion, I play a lot of beta games. A lot of alpha and stuff, and Overwatch, it's super polished, right? But it's competitive mode and its competitiveness, even as competitive as a game it is, compared to certain other games, it just kind of feels like a beta. You know, it lacks a lot of different game modes. I mean, we're still getting characters and heroes. That's cool and all, but it's just like, I don't know, I feel like we didn't have that many supports or that many viable supports this season. For instance, I mean, Zenyatta only just now became super viable, and that's the problem, is now he is like super viable. It's like you need to play him. I don't know, maybe he's just polarizing like that. Maybe he's gonna be like Lucio, like you were just, I don't know, you either love him or you don't use him at all. I don't know. I need more viable supports, and I think that's pretty much it. We just need to balance out the roster, you know, have the same amount of characters in every position, and then from there we can add in more characters. So, I mean, we got Ana, and I think we're about to get another damage dealer with Sombra as an assassin. It's just, for this season, so many different changes were occurring, so many nerfs. They were actually adding characters. We had Ana. It was just weird, you know. All these changes happened kind of like when people were getting into competitive, when it was getting really hardcore, and competitive took a long time to even come out. The game has really fluctuated a lot, and you know, coming at it from a competitive perspective, it wasn't that fun to try to rank up when people were like, they would win more than 50% of their games and still actually lose ranks. That's unfun. Now, I'm kind of trying to dance around saying that word, that it wasn't fun, it wasn't good, because Overwatch is a good game. It's really great, and I know it's going to be a great competitive game. You're already seeing pretty big teams and tournaments and competitions, and I plan to be a part of that scene as well. But I'm not about to just spend all my time just slamming my head into the keyboard, you know, when these balance changes, because I'd be forced to play characters that I really don't want to play. And I know that kind of sucks. Like, Overwatch is a type of game that you need to switch characters, you need to play certain characters to fill certain archetypes. But I really don't want to play Winston with another Winston on my team fighting two other Winstons. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm uncomfortable playing certain characters. It's I'm uncomfortable playing the game when it's in the state when people are forced to play certain characters as a whole. So now the game, currently in its very current position, where the season's about to end in a week or two, it feels pretty good, actually. I really want Sombre to be added into the roster. I need more supports, but overall, I think Season 2 is going to be sick. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. They also added in a for fun game mode, which gives me hope, and I mentioned that. Even though we're talking about competitive, I mentioned that. They added a for fun Rocket League Lucio Ball game mode, because I think, you know, they have some cool ideas for some competitive game modes, and it makes sense to really focus on basically the one game mode that we have. We have King of the Hill, Capture Point style maps, and we also have the payload system, and then they kind of mix and match it, you know, Capture Point first, or all payload, Capture Point second, and they kind of mix it up. And then you do have the stage maps, the King of the Hill maps, but I think we can add in a little bit more, you know, maybe one more game mode, a couple more, and it's okay that it's slow, because the game is fun. You got all these characters, and even if it was the same map, same game mode, it's still fun. I mean, that's kind of how it was in the beta. It's just competitively, I just want more. You know, I think people want to see these characters in unique positions, because as it stands right now, and I mentioned that because in certain game modes, you use certain characters, right? Winston's really good at holding down points, jumping on points. He just is. Reinhardt is pretty good on the payload as well. And you're not seeing certain characters because I feel like the type of character that they are would work in a different kind of game mode. Like, you don't need to change their kits They're still fun, and they're still viable to an extent, but I think you would really see them shine in different game modes. And so I think Overwatch, what it should do is kind of work in the way Heroes of the Storm works compared to League of Legends. Is that League of Legends, one map, one game mode. That's pretty much it. Heroes of the Storm, totally opposite, man. Tons of maps, every map is a different game mode. And Overwatch, I think, should go in that direction, you know? Lots of different crazy maps that also have their game mode intertwined, and that's going to make competitive really, really fun. I mean, it's going to make the game as a whole fun. It doesn't have to be as crazy as Halo with all the different maps and, you know, customization that you have with the Forge mode. It doesn't need to be like that. Just give us like one more game mode, two more, I don't know. It can be over a season. I just want like one more game mode so that we can really see all these different characters come to life. That would be great. Because as it stands, really, even with all these balance changes, there is still some characters that you almost never saw. And I want to say, by the way, that the balance is completely different for console versus PC. So this is coming from a PC player perspective. For instance, I know Torbjorn, sorry, is used a lot in console games, but not so much on PC. In fact, I almost never see Torbjorn. I know there's some situations, I don't know, I haven't watched too many games. I don't think I've ever actually seen a competitive game that used Torbjorn. It might have happened, but personally, I just never seen it. So it's probably pretty rare. I think Mei isn't used too much. But then again, you know, meta fluctuates so much. She might have been really popular for a game. I know she's really popular in quick play. She's, you know, pretty easy to use. But it's just like, fuck, man. Like, there's certain characters like Torbjorn on PC you don't really see too much of. I want to see more Mei. A lot of the defense characters seem kind of undervalued, really. So I want to see a game mode, and you would think it would be like, I don't know, King of the Hill or something, but they're not really too popular there. You get a couple of them, but still offense is really the prized. Like you get two offense, or really it's 2 damage dealers, 2 offense, 2 tanks, and 2 healers. And that's kind of how you work the game. Sometimes, depending on the map and the position and game mode and stuff like that, it can change, you know? You might substitute 1 healer for Symmetra if you're a first point defense. So, you know, there are certain times where you might want to use certain characters in certain situations. It's pretty niche, though. It's a bit like Bastion. Actually, we did see a lot of Bastion for a little bit of time. But there's just some characters that we really don't see enough of. And, you know, these characters are fun, they're really cool, and in quick play you get to see them, but in competitive you just don't. And that's my problem. Even with all the meta shifts, we just still just saw a consistent amount of, like, Reinhardt, we had Widowmaker. Even with her nerfs, you know, a good sniper is always going to be a value. McCree, well, then McCree dropped off because of the meta, but, you know, you're going to always have your soldiers. Soldiers pretty much, Soldier is kind of meant as, like, a consistent character, so that makes sense. But the others, man, like Genji's really surprising, actually. I'm surprised that Genji did so well in competitive, but his ultimate is super strong, actually, with a you know, a cohesive team. But it's just really cool to see different characters and how they coalesce with other characters in the game versus other characters. And so I'm glad team stacking is out. It's really for the best, honestly. Tragic, kind of, in a way, because it would be cool to see a team of like 4 Torbjorns or something, some sort of weird composition like that, but it's just not to be, not this game. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they had a unique game mode that allowed it, but they don't. Maybe soon, but overall, this first season was just fluctuating. It was kind of unfun, and I think we just need more viable supports that would definitely change up the game, and one more game mode so that we can really see the full rotation of these characters, because a lot of defense characters are really left out of the light here, the spotlight. So yeah, let's get a rotation on that, because pretty much offense characters, they're good. You need damage, right? So Soldier, consistent, man. And you need a sniper, Widowmaker. Hanzo, you know, he's a bunker buster. He's kind of unique in ways. He's good at certain maps, and I'm fine with certain characters being niche. Bastion's always going to be niche, but I really just want to see one more game mode to get this rotation out. You guys know what I'm talking about if you play competitive. I mean, it goes like that for any game, like League of Legends, Dota. Certain, you know, characters are just low tier. But the difference in those games is that you have literally hundreds of characters to choose from, and even if you don't, you know, you can't choose your favorite character in that moment, you could choose a character similar to them that has the same gameplay archetype. The problem is that in Overwatch, you don't have that many characters, and you don't have that much archetypes. Bastion is extremely unique. Nobody else is really like Bastion, kind of. Maybe like Torbjorn in a way, kind of. So, you know, if you want to play Bastion, you can only play him in very specific situations if your team allows it. So in competitive, yeah, I think one more game mode would really fix a lot of things. You don't need to fine-tune every other character so that they're kind of rebalanced. Just add in a new game mode. It's fine if there's disbalance. It's fine if there's niche picks and situations. Just, you know, create more of those situations so we can see those niche picks come out. And that's really my only complaint. I'm fine with these balance nerfs and buffs and whatever, you know, that's cool, that's gonna always happen. What I wasn't fine with and what I found was kind of negative, I guess, you know, it made my experience negative and made my look on the development team and the balance team kind of negative was the fact that they took such a drastic change with their design principles, their design philosophies with their mechanic of team stacking. You know, from day one, they said they wanted it in the game and then they 180'd. So, you know, it's like, do you not have fucking playtesters playing this game? Like, anyways, I'm just salty because nobody's hiring me to be a playtester. I'm just kidding. But yeah. Okay, so team stacking out. That's good. The nerfs and buffs are fine, I guess. I think, you know, McCree. You know, certain characters are going to be kind of toxic in certain situations, but it's fine. You know, you play the game, you learn the game. Just want to see more of these rotations. So let's add in a new game mode and I'll be happy. Oh yeah, and just always add more characters, but that's going to happen. What I don't know it will happen is if they will continue to add new game modes. It's possible they don't need to add new game modes. They could just design maps in a unique way, potentially. You know, like actually having sniper spots. That maybe would be very beneficial for Hanzo specifically, somehow. I don't know, places where it would be really strong for a turret, you know, like a tower power situation. I don't know, they can design maps in a certain way, but I think a new game mode is probably the best way. But anyways, that's pretty much my, you know, my overview of the competitive, you know, year. It was good. People were floundering around, I guess, you know, new players jumping into this sort of game. A lot of people who are used to certain FPS, like Counter-Strike, jumping into this game and sucking because it's a, you know, it's a different type of shooter. I mean, yeah, of course, they have good aim, but I think people who played Team Fortress 2 probably transitioned a little bit better. But yeah, there's just a lot of bad people in competitive, so I was able to climb pretty fast. I'm gonna have way more competition in Season 2, and I know it, and it's gonna be awesome. But also, I know right now that if you guys are watching competitive, there's basically just like one or two teams that are really dominating the scene. Wait till Season 2. This first season, all these balance changes is basically a fucking, it was a clown show, man. It was ridiculous, okay? First season didn't really count. Season 1 is basically like season, I don't know, 0.5. Season 2 is going to be the real season. I try to dance around that. I try to, you know, it wasn't a bad experience. I had fun, and competitive's cool, but I have to say, Season 1 wasn't that great, but I am extremely looking forward to Season 2. Maybe that doesn't make sense to you, you know, me saying that it wasn't that fun, but I'm looking forward to it. It's just, you know, they made some big changes, and I am happy with the changes and moving forward, okay? So, just saying that. Plus, as a whole, the game's awesome. But anyways, that's my experience with Season 1. I got to rank 64. I played a lot of Lucio and Hanzo. You know, whenever I couldn't play Hanzo, my team would flame me. I'd pick Lucio, and I did okay. And I think if you guys want to climb, you should pick one niche character, get really stupid good with them. Like Genji's probably your best bet. Get good with Genji and Lucio. You know, get good with the skill characters, Hanzo, and then pick one that's a non-skill character. You know, a character that has a high skill ceiling maybe, but is also easy to play. Like Mercy or make Lucio, basically. Lucio, dude, if you just want to climb, just play Lucio. Literally. Okay. Anyways, that's it, guys. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you guys later.